morning. I am so delighted to be able to join all of you this morning. And wasn't that amazing, the list of sponsors for this event? Congratulations to Ram and Srini and Mohi and everyone working on this amazing event. And the very first LGBT Job Fair here in India. It's an historic day and a wonderful time to come together to talk about LGBT workplace inclusion and to rise. So I just want to do a quick call out for the allies that are with us. Are there any allies in the room? Woo! Fabulous. Thank you so much for being here. We couldn't do this important work without you, so let's hear it for our allies. When I started Out and Equal, it was about a little over 20 years ago. I was like 12, I think, at the time. And, very few conversations like this were happening in the United States or, frankly, anywhere in the world. You could count on one hand the number of companies that had any kind of LGBT inclusion in their internal policies. But I just felt so strongly and believed so wholeheartedly in the fact that no one should ever have to choose between a career that we love and the person that we love. So in the beginning, I made a lot of cold calls. I went door to door to different companies and said, my name is Selisse Berry, and I am here to talk to you about your LGBT employees. And way too many times, I heard this response. Don't worry, Selisse, we don't have those people here. And I said, well, I think you do, and I'm here to help you create policies so that those people, which is our people, can come out at work and bring all of who they are to work every day. And guess what? When we are able to bring all of who we are to work every single day, it increases the bottom line. It means that people feel comfortable with who they are and can show up in a way without trying to hide who they are and be awkward and not be out and proud. So I knew that the workplace was a perfect place to really create change. We all know that we spend way too much time at work. And often we spend more time with our colleagues than we do with our own families. And so people get a chance to get to know each other. It's an opportunity to learn about our colleagues. And often people will just appreciate Lakshmi because she's a fabulous marketing person, she's a great IT person. And then the conversation is like, well, she also happens to have a partner who's a woman. Or somebody that's an amazing, fabulous person is also transgender, So it's not just the only thing that people know about them, and it's no longer those people. You're talking about my friend, my colleague, Lakshmi. So I knew that also from the beginning that when we were working with multinational companies, that meant that we needed to have a global perspective. And so the two things that were important to me was recognizing that we wanted to make sure that every company rolled their policies out globally, and that every person that worked for a company, regardless of where their headquarters were, would feel safe and valued and able to come out at work. And I also knew it was important to support LGBT efforts, individuals and people and NGOs that were coming together to create something that was similar to an Out and Equal that was based in the United States in places around the world. So it's just especially special to be here today with Pride Circle and to see the growth in just 2 years of the work of Ram and Srini and all the folks that have made this event happen. When I started this work, I knew that it was really telling our stories that were so powerful and that would change hearts and minds. Well, I grew up in a place called Oklahoma. There's a song about it. I could burst into at any point. But Oklahoma is kind of a conservative part of the United States. It's in what we call the Bible Belt. And I grew up there, ended up living in Dallas for a while, and it was a time in my life when I was dating men and couldn't figure out why I kept falling in love with their sisters. Well, eventually I moved to the San Francisco Bay Area. A lot of people move to San Francisco to go to gay bars, to come out. Not me. I actually went there to, to attend San Francisco Theological Seminary, which is a training master's degree program to become a Presbyterian minister.
Thank you.
Well, the very first month of seminary, I made a couple of life-changing discoveries. The first is I finally came out to myself, surprise, as a lesbian. And at the very same time, I realized that the Presbyterian Church was not quite as thrilled with this realization as I was. And in fact, if I were to live my life out and proud, I would not be able to follow this chosen career path. I would not be able to get ordained. So I went through a really difficult kind of time trying to figure out, well, now what? And whether I should come out or not. And I remember a woman who was a mentor of mine saying to me, Selisse, how is it that you plan to talk about love as a minister if you can't talk about who you love? And that made so much sense to me, I decided it was time to come out. And the first thing I did was to start an organization. And the first organization I started was a group called SLUTS, which stood for Seminary Lesbians Under Theological Stress. It was a very committed group of women, but the constituency, as you can imagine, was a little limited. So from there, I eventually, after a number of years, started Out and Equal Workplace Advocates because of that commitment and that belief that we should all be able to live our lives authentically, follow up the chosen career path that we have for ourselves, and regardless of who we are or who we love. So being here today and just being part of a 2-year-old organization kind of reminds me a little bit of the beginnings of Out and Equal. I remember the very first time we had a summit, and it was in 1999, a couple years ago, and 200 people showed up, and I was like, oh my God, this is so big. Our last summit was close to 6,000, so it certainly grew up. And this, too, will continue to grow significantly, which I'm excited about. But the very first summit we had, it was in Atlanta, and there was a group of people putting together the lights for the AV, and they were chatting with, I was the only staff person. Well, I was kind of a volunteer because I was starting the organization, so I didn't have a big income, but, and I had a lot of volunteers helping out. And the AV company learned that we were an LGBTQ organization. And there was a lot of whispering, and the next thing I know, they've put down the lights, they put down all the cameras, they walk out of the building. So that was a little bit of a shock in the beginning. And so, of course, we scrambled because that's what we do within the LGBT community and put on a fabulous show and made it happen. But it just was a very bold reminder that we're not there yet. We're not there in the United States. This was a number of years ago. And it used to be that it was difficult to find a venue for our summits. And of course, now people come to Out and Equal and say, would you be here? Would you be here? Because we've grown so significantly and we're such a large event. But it does just, again, kind of reinforce how wonderful this event is and what a wonderful venue it is. And it's in a hotel with the executive director being an out gay man. So it seems like always it's so important to celebrate our successes and to celebrate the amazing movement that we've had in our community. I just wanted to share with you some of the highlights of a recent Out and Equal Summit, because I know many of you have you been to the Out and Equal Summit? Let's see how many people have been to a summit before. So a handful of you have been, fabulous. And those of you that haven't been, maybe we could just show us a relatively short video to give you a taste of the Out and Equal Summit. So let's take a look. Welcome to the 2017 Out and Equal Workplace Summit here in the beautiful city of Philadelphia.
Philadelphia is honored to host this year's annual conference that unites over 4,000 people from across the U.S., and we are proud to welcome guests from 40 different countries. No one should have to choose ever between a career they love and who they love or who they are. We see you, we love you, we have your back, and we're never, ever going backwards. Enjoy Philadelphia.
Never dissent or tolerate dissent on diversity and inclusion.
Be the change that you want to see in the world. It starts with you. So be that change. Be that inspiration. People will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel.
All those years of trying to blend in when I was really meant to just stand out, be a voice.
Stronger together.
When we stand strong together, we can change the game. Stay strong.
You are good enough to do whatever you love to do, to make our life the best that the universe intended it to be.
One of the things I love about Out and Equal is the ampersand, the and. We can be out and equal.
I've never come through the tunnel of love before, but it's a wonderful experience. I feel refreshed.
We're here together this week to celebrate you and to celebrate our community. And most of all, to remind each other here in the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection that love will always win.
Her mantra could have been, be the change you want to see in the world, because change is what she's delivered. Selisse, on behalf of the Board of Directors, we are all grateful for your friendship, your vision, your advocacy, and determination to make the world a better place. Thank you from all of us.
Everyone in this room knows the importance of coming together as a community. Because when we come together, we're reminded that we are a community of the heart, that we are not alone, and that we're all in this together. Thank you. Yes, again, it's just so exciting to see the success of our global movement. And it's so important as we celebrate the fact that there are 28 countries where we can now get married. There's also close to over 70 countries where we can be arrested, imprisoned, or even killed simply for being who we are and loving who we love. So after all these many years, what are some of the things, the pearls of wisdom I'd like to leave with you? Some of the things that I've gleaned from my work over these last 20 plus years. One is to follow your passion and to follow your bliss. I remember when I was in seminary and trying to figure out, well, what am I going to do next if I can't get ordained? And I remember somebody asking me, well, if you could do anything in the world, what would it be? And I said, I'd run a national LGBT organization. And as soon as those words came out of my mouth, I thought, I have no idea how to do that. But I knew that the seed was planted and that I was able to follow my passion. And the other is to just not be afraid to ask for what you want and to ask people to help you along your journey, whether you're looking for a job, the love of your life, whether you're asking people to help you raise money for a nonprofit, to ask for what you want, because I found time and time again that people are thrilled to be able to help you on your journey. And then, of course, once you're following your passion and asking for what you want, to be able to say thank you, because gratitude is such a huge part of my life. I think that we're also lucky to be able to be alive at this time in history, to see the movement of our communities, and as we come together, to constantly be aware that we are all in this together, and that we are together changing the world, that we're creating an opportunity that all of us can rise, and that we're not alone because we are stronger together. Thank you so much.